Video opens on a slow-motion shot of a young boy's face, contorted in a silent scream of rage and grief. The background is a blur of snow and fire. The image is painterly, the colors muted and cold. Narrator. There is a cage that has no bars. It is a prison we build for ourselves, brick by painful brick, using the mortar of our own righteous anger. We tell ourselves we are building a fortress, a monument to our own will. But in the end, it is only ever a cage. I call this prison, the cage of purpose. It is the all-consuming goal born from a deep wound, the singular obsession that gives you a reason to wake up in the morning, while simultaneously ensuring you never truly live. It is the long shadow cast by a person or a memory, a shadow you have mistaken for shelter. By the end of our time together today, you will understand the paradox of this prison. You will see how the very thing that gives your life its sharp, crystalline focus can also be the thing that shatters it. And, most importantly, you will learn how to find the key, turn the lock, and walk out into the sunlight, even if you've forgotten what it feels like on your skin. Have you ever felt it? That pull. A gravity in your own heart, tethering you to a single point in your past. A wrong you must right. A debt you must collect. A ghost you must put in the ground. You have a mountain in your mind. And every day, you begin the climb. The wind is sharp, the rocks cut your hands, but you do not stop. You cannot stop, because you have convinced yourself that the view from the summit is the only thing that will ever make you whole. You tell yourself this is discipline. This is focus. This is the fire of the human spirit. But if you are honest, truly honest, in the quiet hours before dawn when the world is still, you know it is also a kind of hollowness. A hunger that no amount of progress seems to satisfy. Have you ever noticed how the world beyond your mountain has begun to fade to gray? The taste of fresh bread, the warmth of a fire, the sound of a friend's laughter. They are all distant echoes, muffled by the howling wind on your lonely peak. Think of the person who dedicates their life to a single promotion at work. They are fueled by a desire to prove a parent wrong, to silence a childhood bully, to fill a hole of inadequacy they've carried for decades. They work weekends. They sacrifice relationships. They miss the quiet, beautiful moments of their own lives. They become a finely honed tool for a single task. And then, one day, they get it. The title, the office, the salary. They reach the summit. And they feel nothing. A terrifying, silent, cavernous nothing. The applause sounds like it's coming from the bottom of a well. The victory is ash in their mouth. Because the fight was the only thing that made them feel real. The struggle was the only home they knew. This is the hidden cost of the cage of purpose. It's not just what you sacrifice to achieve your goal. It's who you become in the process. You spend so long staring into the abyss of your enemy, your obstacle, your wound, that the abyss begins to stare back. You begin to borrow its shape. Your quest for justice becomes a thirst for vengeance. Your discipline becomes a brittle cruelty. You are becoming a perfect mirror of the very thing you swore to destroy. And the most terrifying part? You are now completely dependent on it. If that mountain were to suddenly crumble, if that enemy were to simply vanish, you would not be free. You would be in freefall. Because you have forgotten how to live on level ground. A new scene appears. A windswept coast. A Viking longship is beached on the gray shore. We see a boy, Thorfinn, watching an older, charismatic man, Askeladd, with an expression of pure, undiluted hatred. To understand how to dismantle this cage, we must travel to the cold shores of 11th century England. We must look into the eyes of a boy whose entire world was reduced to a single purpose, a single name. Askeladd. The man who murdered his father. The man who took everything from him. And, in a twist of fate as cruel as a Viking axe, the man who raised him. For a decade, the boy, Thorfinn, follows Askeladd's band of mercenaries. He is not a captive. He is not a slave. He is a satellite, held in orbit by the immense gravity of his own hatred. His one purpose, the singular thought that animates his entire being, is to kill Askeladd in a fair duel. To earn the right to avenge his father. This crucible of vengeance forges Thorfinn into one of the most lethal warriors of his age. He is fast, he is vicious, he is a prodigy of death. And all of it, every scar, every technique, every hard-won instinct, he owes to the man he has sworn to kill. This is the foundation of our solution. We must understand the Askeladd Paradox. The paradox is this: your greatest enemy, the object of your all-consuming obsession, can inadvertently become your greatest teacher, your defining mentor, and the sole architect of your identity. The relationship becomes so symbiotic, so deeply enmeshed, that their destruction would not mean your liberation. It would mean the annihilation of the self you have built. Let's break this down into its three core principles. First, is the principle of hatred's gravity. We think of hatred as a force of repulsion. We want to destroy, to push away, to eradicate. But in practice, true, deep-seated hatred is a force of attraction. It is a profound, obsessive intimacy. To defeat an enemy, you must study them. You must learn their habits, anticipate their moves, understand their philosophies. You must know them better than their friends, better than their lovers. Thorfinn watches Askeladd constantly. He learns how he thinks in battle, how he manipulates kings, how he reads the hearts of men. He is pulled, inexorably, into Askeladd's world. Second, is the principle of antagonistic forging. A sword is not made in a gentle fire. It is hammered. It is plunged into the cold water, again and again. It is the violence of its creation that gives it strength and a razor's edge. We are no different. Our character, our skills, our resilience, they are forged in the crucible of resistance. The enemy, the obstacle, provides the necessary hammer blows. Every time Askeladd places Thorfinn in an impossible situation, every time he outsmarts him, every time he pushes him to the brink of death, he is forging him. He is making him stronger, faster, smarter. Thorfinn's entire skill set is a direct response to the challenges Askeladd presents. Without his enemy, Thorfinn would have remained a boy in Iceland, dreaming of a world he'd never see. His tormentor was also his creator. And third, the most dangerous principle, the purpose void. Life is chaotic. It is a storm of meaningless choices and terrifying uncertainty. The question, what should I do with my life, can be paralyzing. A singular, overriding purpose, especially one like revenge, is a beautiful, simple answer. It cuts through the chaos like a sharp blade. It provides clarity, direction, meaning. What should I do today? Become strong enough to kill Askeladd. What should I do with my life? Avenge my father. It fills the existential void with a goal so righteous and so absolute that it requires no further examination. The problem is that this purpose is a borrowed one. It is entirely dependent on the existence of another. To remove that other is to face the terrifying emptiness he was hiding. It is to face the void. Imagine a sapling growing in the shadow of a great, unmoving boulder. For its entire life, the tree's growth is defined by this obstacle. It twists its trunk to find the sun. It sends its roots deep and wide to grip the earth around the stone. Its very shape, its unique character, is a testament to its struggle against the boulder. Now, what would happen if that boulder were to vanish in an instant? The tree would not suddenly spring upright, healthy and whole. It would be a contorted, strange thing. Its form would be a memory of a conflict that no longer exists. It might even collapse, having lost the very thing that it was pushing against, the very thing that gave its struggle form and support. This tree is Thorfinn. This tree is any of us who has allowed our life to be defined by a single, all-consuming opposition. And the vanishing boulder, that is the moment of victory that feels like death. So, how do we escape the cage? How do we learn to grow without the boulder? We cannot simply will it away. The obsession has worn deep grooves into our soul. Instead, we must undertake a careful, deliberate process of relearning how to live. It requires action, not just insight. Here are 4 practical steps to begin dismantling your own cage of purpose. Step 1. Identify your Askeladd. Take out a piece of paper. You must externalize this. Your Askeladd is rarely a swashbuckling Viking mercenary. It is often something quieter, more insidious. It might be the memory of a past failure that dictates every career choice you make. It might be the voice of a critical parent in your head that you are still trying to silence. It might be a trauma that has become the central organizing principle of your entire life. It might be a chronic illness, a societal expectation, or a self-imposed limiting belief. Ask yourself this question, and be brutally honest. What is the one single story rooted in pain or opposition that I tell myself is my life's purpose? Write it down. It could be, I will finally be happy when I prove them all wrong. Or, my life can't begin until I've fixed this broken part of myself. Or, I can't rest until I've gotten justice for what was done to me. Seeing it written down, in black and white, is the first step to recognizing it as a story, and not as an unchangeable truth. You have just identified the primary bar of your cage. Step 2. Conduct the purpose audit. For the next 7 days, I want you to become an observer of your own mind. You don't need to change anything yet. The goal is simply awareness. Carry a small notebook or use an app on your phone. Throughout the day, notice how many of your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions are fueled by your Askeladd. The extra hours you work, is that for the project, or to silence the voice of inadequacy? The argument you pick with your partner, was it about the dishes, or was it a manifestation of the anger you still carry from your past? The thing you chose not to do, the risk you chose not to take, was that fear based on the present reality, or was it a ghost from an old wound telling you that you would fail again? At the end of each day, take 2 minutes to review. You will likely be shocked. You will see just how much of your precious mental and emotional energy is being consumed by this one single thing. You are not just visiting the cage, you are living in it. The audit shows you its true dimensions. Step 3. Practice Micro-Amnesties. You cannot simply decide to forgive a deep wound or drop a lifelong obsession. It is too heavy a stone to lift all at once. The emotional habit is too strong. Instead, you must build a new habit. The habit of peace. A micro-amnesty is a small, deliberate, and scheduled moment where you consciously grant yourself a temporary reprieve from your great struggle. It is an act of rebellion against the tyranny of your own purpose. Choose a simple, sensory activity that has nothing to do with your goal. It could be brewing a cup of tea, and focusing only on the steam, the aroma, the warmth. It could be listening to a single piece of instrumental music, without distractions. It could be stepping outside at night and looking at the stars for 5 minutes. During this time, you make a conscious pact with yourself. You say, internally, for the next 5 minutes, the fight does not exist. The mountain is not there. The debt does not need to be paid. I am granted a full pardon. At first, this will feel artificial. Your mind will wander back to its obsession. Gently guide it back. The point is not to succeed perfectly, but to practice the act of release. You are building a new muscle. You are creating a small, safe harbor in your own mind, a place that your Askeladd is not allowed to enter. Over time, you can make this harbor larger. Step 4. Reframe your enemy as your forge. This is the most transformative step. It is about reclaiming your own story. You must change the narrative from one of pure victimhood to one of a brutal, but powerful, education. Look back at the Askeladd you identified in step 1. Now, make a new list. Ask yourself, what has this struggle, this enemy, this wound, unwillingly taught me? What skills have I developed because of this pressure? Perhaps your struggle with a difficult upbringing has made you fiercely independent and resilient. Perhaps a past business failure taught you invaluable lessons that you now use every day. Perhaps the pain you endured has given you a profound capacity for empathy that you would not have otherwise. Askeladd did not intend to make Thorfinn a master warrior. It was an accidental byproduct of his own cruelty and pragmatism. In the same way, your struggles did not intend to gift you with strength, wisdom, or compassion. But they often do. By identifying these accidental gifts, you shift your position from being a passive victim of your history to being an active student of it. You were not just being hammered, you were being forged. This reclaims your agency. It does not excuse the pain. It does not justify the wrong. But it integrates the experience into your identity as a source of strength, not just a source of shame or anger. It turns the poison into a strange and potent medicine. The scene returns to the world of Vinland Saga. We are in a grand throne room. It is chaotic. Askeladd is dying on the floor. Thorfinn rushes to his side, his face a canvas of disbelief and horror. The ultimate proof of the Askeladd Paradox, the final, devastating evidence of the danger of the cage of purpose, is found in its conclusion. Thorfinn gets his wish. but not by his own hand. To save his homeland and the king he has come to respect, Askeladd creates a public spectacle, killing the tyrannical King Sweyn and allowing himself to be cut down in the ensuing chaos. He dies. And Thorfinn, who has lived and breathed for this moment for over a decade, does not feel triumph. He does not feel relief. He does not feel the quiet satisfaction of justice. He feels annihilation. Close up on Thorfinn's face. A single tear traces a path through the grime. His mouth opens, and from the depths of his soul comes a raw, animalistic scream. It is the sound of a universe collapsing. He collapses. His sword, the tool of his revenge, clatters to the floor. The light in his eyes goes out. He has not lost an enemy. He has lost his center of gravity. He has lost his god, albeit a dark one. He has lost himself. In the aftermath, Thorfinn is an empty shell. A ghost. He is sold into slavery, and he does not resist. He has no will left to do so. His boulder has vanished, and he has crumpled to the ground. His entire journey for the next arc of his story is the slow, agonizing, and beautiful process of building a new purpose from the absolute bedrock of despair. He has to learn, for the first time since he was a child, how to live for something other than death. This is not mere fiction. It is a profound psychological truth. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl, in his seminal work, Man's Search for Meaning, observed this very phenomenon in the concentration camps. He noted that the prisoners who survived the horrors were often those who could maintain a sense of future purpose, a loved one to return to, an unfinished manuscript to publish, a meaning that transcended their suffering. But Frankl also documented the danger of what he called the existential vacuum that occurred after liberation. For some prisoners, whose entire will had been focused on the single goal of survive this, the moment of freedom was a crisis. There, Askeladd, the camp system itself, was gone. The tension that had kept them alive was released, and they fell into a profound apathy and depression. They had won their great battle, and now had to face the terrifying question, what now? The logic is inescapable. A purpose that is built on an external, negative force, an enemy, a wound, a grievance, is fundamentally fragile. It places the keys to your identity, your meaning, and your emotional stability in someone else's hands. True, lasting purpose, what Frankl would call a self-transcendent purpose, must be built from the inside. It must be a positive, generative force. Not a desire to destroy, but a desire to build. Not a need to avenge, but a need to create. Not a life defined by an enemy, but a life defined by what you love. This is a purpose that no one can ever take from you. Final shot. An older Thorfinn, his face lined with experience but his eyes clear and calm, looking out over a peaceful sea at sunrise. The colors are warmer now, hopeful. So I ask you to look at your own life. At your own mountain. Your own cage. In the comments below, I want you to share one thing. Do not share your Askeladd, that is a story for you and you alone. Instead, share a micro-amnesty you practice, or one you will try. What is that small, simple act that gives you a moment of peace? Brewing coffee, walking in the rain, listening to the birds at dawn. Let's build a library of these small harbors for each other. A testament to the fact that even in the midst of our greatest struggles, we can find and cultivate a quiet peace. If these explorations of the cold, hard soil of the human heart resonate with you, join our parish. Subscribe to the Farmland Preacher, and we will continue to seek the harvest of wisdom together. Thorfinn's story did not end in that throne room. His collapse was not an ending, but the most brutal of new beginnings. To understand the slow, difficult craft of building a new life from the ashes of the old, you need to watch our video on the philosophy of true warriors. Why Thorfinn put down the sword. Thank you for your time. Go in peace.